Uh,
It's 6 o'clock. We will begin the regular council meeting of January the 13th, 2026. We are in the process of recording, and Katie sent me a message. She'll be here shortly. She's running a little late. Entrance is taken. Approval of the agenda of the regular meeting of January 13, 2026. Be it resolved, motion 011326.01. Be it resolved, the council approves the agenda as submitted by the first regular meeting on January 13, 2026.
So moved.
Karen? Billy? I would like to make a couple of additions on new business on 12B. The Five Rivers 2025 year in review. And 12C, Rexton bylaw control of dogs.
Well, the.
Year in review 2025 for Five Rivers.
So what is it? Year-end review?
Year in review, year in review.
C was dog control.
Yeah, the bylaw, Rexton dog control. We do have the year in review on the thing package tonight. It wasn't included online, but you have it there in front of you. All those in favor of the agenda with the addition signify by saying, over Elaine.
May I point out a couple of your typos?
Okay,
5
yes,
says December the 9th, 2026.
okay, 25,
It should
yeah,
be.
okay,
And number 6, special meeting on December 23rd, 2026.
okay,
And also in the motion. To be 2025.
number 6.
Who's the agendas for its reading?
Okay, all those in favor of the agenda with the amendment signify by saying aye. Those against nay. Motion carried. Any disclosures of conflict of interest? Number 5, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of December 9, 2025, motion 011326.02. Be it resolved, the council approves the minutes as submitted by the clerk for its regular meeting on December 9, 2025. Mike,
Second.
Elaine. Questions and comments on the minutes?
Just in D there, it says, budget summary in the minutes.
T,
Yeah, budget summary. I'm just a question if that was posted.
The one that, the budget summary, the brief came after, it is posted as a news item on the website.
Okay, perfect.
is this in the minutes?
Well, it mentions that summary was.
11D.
Sorry,
11D,
I didn't say 11.
Well, just as a note, what we may do is post that where we have our operating budgets posted as well. In addition to, so we have it posted as a news item, maybe useful to post that as well in the in there just for ease of
Budget
reference.
Under 11 app. The land acknowledgement, we haven't had any progress on that. At this time. All those in favor of the minutes signify by saying aye. Those against nay. Carried. And approval of the minutes of the special meeting on December 23rd, 2025. Motion 011326.03. Be it resolved that council approves the minutes as submitted by the clerk for its special meeting on December 23rd, 2025.
Second.
Karen and Mike? Questions and comments on the special meeting minutes? Those in favor signify by saying aye. Those against nay. Carried. And number 7, correspondence, presentations, and petitions. Yes, Karen.
On the first one, on the letter to administer transportation,
Yes.
I was speaking to Chief Perry today
Mhm.
and he got an update.
Oh,
So they are not gonna do the Bearsville back road.
okay,
No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes.
okay,
They're anticipating a start in the spring and being done in a year,
okay. Was better than 2 or 3 years.
So 1 year now?
approximately, barring any complications.
Good.
But that leaves us with the problem, the other side. We can't get around. There's only gonna be one truck on the other side.
Yeah.
So we don't have a shortcut. So,
Hopefully it's just.
There's gonna be-
1 year.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of reliance on,
It's beautiful.
Just a question here, the two bridges that are up, like where I live, there's one on either side of me, if you will.
that's the one, the green.
There's
yeah,
three,
that's
sorry,
the
there's
Green River.
3 river, the one's being shut down. Neither one of those can support fire trucks, the other two.
The one in Main River, that's the one on the 470. Like you get to the end of the 510 and you end up at the 470 and you go down the hill and there's a bridge and up. That's the one they're replacing this year. The other one at Main River, they're doing the land work this year and fixing the entrance on the 510 side. But they're not replacing the entire bridge this year. They can't put them both out. But the bridge in Ford's Mills has been reduced to 3 tons. And our fire trucks can't be supported. Now, if they built a truck bridge at the end of the Priest Road, going to the Beersville Back Road, but you can't put a truck on it because the Beersville Back Road's impassable. So,
Is that bad?
yeah,
There's a garbage truck stuck in the last week.
it's
I
bad.
guess I haven't been on it for a while.
It's bad. Really bad. That was the original plan.
Does the people still live
Yep,
on that road?
yeah. And Minister Chasson had said that he was going to have them grade and fix the Beersville Back Road. Not gonna happen.
Thanks, Karen.
Yep.
Before I go on, I just wanted to point out there's a water cooler over there in the corner. Should anybody like some water?
Oh, yay.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, the next, St. John Mayor, Donna Reardon, she's initiated the, for the municipalities to ask the province for the heavy,
Mr.
yes, for the tax or heavy industrial property tax revenues. So, we received another email and, attached, and it's in your, portfolio, but it's not in the binder version. So it's a letter from Donna Reardon. And with instructions from, Lisa Kennedy, and it says, through various discussions, we believe the next step would be for each municipality to send an individual letter to the premier with a copy to the Minister of Finance and Treasury Board and to the Minister of the local government. I'll give you this.
Because we only have one property. That's what he did,
We have-
industrial.
Pete Moss too, so I'm not sure. We need to further investigate that.
As I know Delco is.
Yes, but I think Pete Moss might be heavy industrial. I see.
Did we not have that before? Where did I see that?
We did, yeah, yeah, so this is
And
the
I-
follow-up, this is the follow-up, so we sent a letter
Oh, okay.
supporting that, but now it was a form letter, I
Okay.
think we all signed, and, but now they're looking for individual letters.
Written.
Any other questions on correspondence?
Did you see this on your cable, letter?
It's just right
It's
there,
in-
yeah, it's right there. Oh. Line number 8.
Oh. Should I go back to correspondence?
Sure.
There's a letter of appreciation there for Sistema.
Oh, that.
Canada Day.
I was appalled by that as well.
Okay,
That is not for the contribution we made for the grant. That was, they performed at the Multiculturalism Day,
Canada.
It's in
Yes.
September.
It says on the, says on the side,
Canada Day.
oh,
it
okay,
says for Canada Day performance.
Okay,
it was, yeah,
so that's what it was
that
for.
was that one, so we
Yeah.
don't have the other.
What a difference.
Thank you,
Number two.
yeah. no,
So there was two.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, moving on to the mayor and councilor reports. Our report is in the package. I'd just like to make note of the upcoming election. May the 11th is election day. As of April the 11th, council can no longer make any decisions. Okay? March the 23rd is the beginning of nominations for the election, and April the 10th, nominations cease.
What was the last one?
They
April
close,
10th.
nomination close April 10th.
April 10th.
Yeah, so if you want to put your name in, then it has to be between March 23rd and April 10th. Now, we did receive some information from the province, and I passed it along to me. I think you included to Rob, yeah, for information. So maybe we could put some of that info on our website and the Facebook group for potential people who want to run in the election. So further to that, the rural plan committee that we have, it's because of a few things that have happened, sicknesses, some of the meetings were canceled, so we are not going to meet the deadline for plans. So, pretty sure it's not going to be completed by, well, it would have to be done by April the 11th. It would have to come to council, and it would have to go to public consultation, and then it has to go to the province. So I'm pretty sure that's not gonna happen. So what we're going to do is just carry on with our committee, and we are continuing to meet. The committee, the only two people on it who may or may not change are Karen and myself. The other committee members, they're members of the municipality, so they'll stay on this committee. So even if it goes after the well, it will go after the election, but the new council, then the two people council votes in to sit on that committee after that, and then it will just carry on. Okay, so just to give you an update on that. Deputy Mayor Campbell.
Yes. What I do in December. December 2nd, Policy and Bylaw Committee meeting via Zoom. December 5th, the UMNB board meeting Zoom. December 6th, UMNB board meeting Zoom. December 9th, regular council meeting. December 10th, UMNB holiday blend with McGinnis Cooper. December 12th, Christmas tree lighting at Kenny Park. December 16th, Rural Plan Committee meeting. December 18th, UMNB review of the RSC. And December 23rd, special council meeting. There was something that came up in the UMNB board. And I believe Rob and Dortina would have gotten a letter from Dan requesting if there's anything we would suggest putting in an orientation package.
Yeah, I sent it to all the
Yeah.
counselors. We all received that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has it been,
Yeah, January
Okay.
31st is the
Yeah.
deadline, so we can, suggest, separately. It doesn't have to be council. You can just make your suggestions. Okay, thank you, Karen. Yes, that's important. Next is Councillor Flanagan.
Okay, I start with, December the sixth, I attended the Beersville Harcourt Firemen's Christmas Party. And then December 7th, I helped organize a Christmas party for the Wishwater River Historical Society, which was held at Makiba. And on the 9th, I attended our regular council meeting. On the 12th of December, I attended the Christmas tree lighting ceremony in Kenny Park, which Karen got up and spoke. And then I guess it would be December 16th, I participated in the Rixton Lions Nursing Home, their Christmas parade, and Mayor Tina was there too. And, two more, December 23rd, did that special council meeting on Zoom on the December 23rd. And right now, as of tomorrow evening, I'll be holding a meeting here, and it's working on events for Frosty Fest, which is in February.
Councillor Robertson.
Just the fire auditor.
Councillor Mike Robertson.
attended all the meetings of council.
Thank you. Councillor One.
Mine is December the 9th. It starts regular council meeting in Chambers. December the 12th, attended the tree lighting at Kenny Park and the craft sale at the Lions Hall. There was only about 18 people at the tree lighting, so small turnout for that. December the 23rd, attended the team special council meeting. The 7th, attended bylaw and policy community meeting in council chambers. January the 7th, I attended the Rexon Area Healthcare Foundation meeting. I mentioned us. At the February meeting, we will welcome our speaker, Suzanne Dupuy-Blanchard, to inform us about the nursing home at Walls. So that's kind of come up on our age-friendly meeting thing.
Nice.
So anyway, we'll find more about that.
Yeah.
And on January the 12th, I met with resident Maine Carpenter.
Okay. Moving on to 9, committee reports. Bylaw and policy committee meeting, December 2nd, the minutes are in your package. And we're moving on to the CA report.
The only thing I would add to what you'd see in the report is that we are proceeding with the mini tractor purchase. And we got the 3 quotes, and we should be moving forward with that. And there's a 5-year lease with a buyback at the end, or a buyout rather, at the end. And yeah, so we're hoping in about 2 weeks we'll have that, and that'll allow us to do the sidewalk work and yeah, that we were thinking. And yeah,
Yes, Karen.
so number 4, payment for the fire truck. So in January,
Just 1 second, sorry, I didn't mean to cut Rob, I thought you were asking a question about the tractor.
oh, sorry,
Yeah, so did
No, that was-
anybody have any
oh, sorry.
questions about the tractor? Direly needed.
Coming with all the bells and whistles.
yeah, we're getting several attachments.
But the other one was basically irreparable. And then anything else you wanted to add? That, no, okay.
The parts and thing that had been ordered, that's been canceled.
If, I don't know definitively if it's been ordered, if I would probably will cancel the order. So maybe yeah, we're not, we don't think we'll have the trackless back in service this year.
Okay, because at the end of Josh's reports, it always says waiting for this and that to come in.
Yeah, you know, it's been pretty active since we got back from Christmas holidays, so. But yeah,
So we're gonna order a new trackless?
Tractor.
Tractor.
mini tractor Kubota.
And that's gonna clean the sidewalks.
It will, it has several attachments, one of which
Right.
is specifically for.
I remember, thank you.
Thank you.
So the payment for the fire truck,
Number 4.
yeah, number 4. We are gonna pay the balance in mid-January. 250,000 from general capital reserves. 350 to venture, 50K CCBF, and 11,000 for the HST, which we'll get back. My question is, that 250,000 from the general capital reserves, was that before or after our transfer?
So there were two transfers. The 250 that refers to was the one from 2024
Okay,
that carried over to 2026 and that we put in the budget. And then at the end of last year, we did a 300 based on
Yeah.
2025. So it corresponds to the one from 2024. And that we already had a motion on in, you may recall, mid-year for that in anticipation.
the Shoreway. So what are we doing?
So the Shoreway, we had a meeting with, the principals today and Gemtech, who is helping us do our application. So the province has tentatively approved, the submission we made was for 1.8 million, but we are going to probably de-scope that to about half of that base and go for, that was kind of the full deal with paved road, sidewalks, curbs, full. We're probably gonna go for a more basic road, if you will, and probably just get, and the reason we're doing that is there is a finite amount of money available to every municipality. It's not a hard number like CCBF or capital envelope, but there is sort of an envelope that's available. And given that we're going to be turning around very shortly and doing the applying for money for the lagoon work, we thought it was prudent in talking to the person from the province to probably reduce what we were contributing or planning to spend on that particular development. It'll still support the development, it'll still be entirely usable and talk to the developers in Shoreway about that, but that's what the current plan is. So we've still got to resolve a developers agreement with them, which is should be a fairly straightforward matter, and we're meeting with our lawyers this week to talk about that. And then we're just gonna, I'll say right size or de-scope, rescope, sorry, and de-scope the actual application.
But
And
they're
the
gonna,
developer understands,
What's that?
the developer there, sure, he understands our position now?
They did. Yeah, we talked about today.
but he's gonna continue building.
Yes.
He's not gonna stop at 4. He's
No,
gonna
they're still,
continue.
so what, you heard today, and even I was probably, somewhat unclear about this a couple weeks ago. But they're still on, pace to do the 19 duplexes, 38 dwelling units, but they're gonna do 4 a year roughly is what
Okay.
their plan is. So they're doing it over a 5-year period.
Okay. Number 18. The CN rail payment. Have you had any answer from them and how much did we ask them for?
We have not, and I cannot recall exactly, but I think it was in the area around 10, 15, I thought. I could be right, like,
I hope you're wrong.
you think it was supposed to be for significantly more?
No. It's supposed to be for 4 lanes of hose and a meal.
I think there was another element to it that but anyway, I'll
Yeah.
check on that.
Okay.
I don't wanna, I could be wrong.
I already went over this thing. And. Okay, I think I'm good.
It might have been replacing the structure hose and also procuring.
They're not gonna pay for it. We didn't lose it. We're after DNR for it. But I mean, it is what it is. Leaping hose is not near as expensive as structure hose. So I think the structure hose was about 1,500, $2,000
Okay,
for 4 lanes of hose.
meals were like 5 or 6 each.
Maybe, yeah,
something
so
like
it's
that.
about,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll check that.
Yeah.
That's. I can't recall.
Okay.
I thought it was like.
cool.
Any other questions? Elaine?
Just on the number 5, the signs. So do we see those before they're installed or they're as the last draft we seen or?
So, yeah, it's the last draft you saw is what we got. We actually, they have printed and produced 2 large signs. The unfortunate thing is that, the large sign for the Route 11, was larger than the existing, signpost. There's a reason, given the aspect ratio of the thing, I think we went something like 16 by 20 or something like that. And it was, I can't remember if it was wider or taller, but in any event. So we're contracting the guy. Those will probably not get up because they'll require a new post or whatever until the spring. What we are looking at doing now, although this is something we have to pick up and engage on to get done, but we're looking at getting some of the smaller signs done, like the one in front of the building and the town office, and then getting some of the entry signs, welcome to Five Rivers and or welcome to the name of the community of Five Rivers, those smaller, but they're smaller form factor, and those we probably can get done sooner. But we've still got to get with that. Something that was, like, Emily probably working with, that we have to pick up and have another person carry forward. But they should both get done before the election.
And I read somewhere where we were looking to see if we will get refunded for some of that money.
Yeah, I
No.
can't say we got very positive word back on that. I sent an email to the 2 MLAs, Finning and Bork, that represent Five Rivers, and then I was contacted by someone at the province, administrator, and who pointed us toward sort of the capital renewal, the CCBF and other existing funds, and not toward the transition funding. So it does seem as though the transition funding, which they did say was closed like last year, is no longer available. So it's unlikely that we would probably be able to get separate funding for that now.
But we wouldn't be the only ones.
Questions? So the finance report is, we don't have the comparative, but we do have the general operating.
Same. as-
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's okay.
This only goes to the end of November, right?
Yeah.
So, we will receive the comparative statement in February. That way more will be included, right up until, because right now there's still some outstanding bills that we haven't received. The CAO has suggested we might want to use our committee, of the whole meeting to discuss that, as opposed to the, yeah,
Yeah.
we can,
Detail.
if we can decide that.
In February.
Yeah, in February, yeah, or we can get it at our meeting. But yeah, in February, either way. Any questions on general operating that's included? In the package? And the utility operating, that's up to November.
It's under the general operating, sorry. And what is the other at 94,909? We have
We always have that every year.
so now it's placeholder. That's right, it's still the
It's a
same.
catch-all.
Like the. That's two. Okay, still in the same.
Yeah. We should have a revenue that offsets it exactly.
Not exactly, because we don't get the exact amount.
Yeah.
of top.
Yeah, it always
We
usually.
only get 50% back.
Yeah.
Moving on, the fund summary is there. General funds, utility funds, CCBF, gas tax. We have the recreation report. Questions on that?
Well, I just see the Redstone Lions Club roof space.
Yes. Yes, Karen.
Why under recreation? Oh, am I under, never mind, I'm under public works. Oops.
Under the, recreation. And the youth fitness, that's a private individual, is it, that is renting that space for that? Yeah, no, something that's markets.
Me too. Yeah, I'm make it.
I'm probably,
I'm doing
it anyway.
Any sure community member, but we applied for the grant.
Okay. It's a grant. Okay. And do you know how the attendance?
I'm not sure, we just received the funds just before Christmas and are so these are like the
Attendance exclusions.
extra comments.
It's supposed to get extra days for our next round. So
Okay,
it must be good.
all right.
The public works report is next.
Regarding that trackless. According to this, Josh says had to get rear hydrostatic pump rebuilt. And then currently waiting for parts. Is that still going ahead even though he's getting the tractor?
That's what I asked
I
earlier.
don't, yeah, it was asked earlier. I don't believe so, but it's partly, there's a new decision to put on the trackless. Probably it's still useful to the town as a secondary machine in back of the other one.
Okay,
So whether so I can't say that we have a firm decision whether when we get the other one, whether we postpone it or whether
do we have an estimate on the cost?
I do not have one with me, I'm sorry.
Not even a,
I think they were estimating, I think it was in the 10 to 15 range. Be wrong. It wasn't inexpensive.
what?
It was fair loans. Yeah,
But we don't want to repair it if we're getting a new one, right? Is that what you're?
I think what we need is a final firm figure on if the repair, we haven't been able to work through like the probability of if we put X amount in, what is the likelihood that it will be fully functioning and that we won't have more trouble? We're not in a position, I think by the next meeting, we will be to be able to give council better information on that. As I stand right now, I don't have one. We don't have it.
Questions?
It is relatively obvious. We didn't trust using it going forward.
This power outage
Yeah,
on December 29th.
yeah,
What happened there?
doesn't have a chocolate chip, doesn't have a general.
Yeah,
Parts of,
the storm.
parts of this side of the bridge, I think.
So as a result of that, I believe we had to come in and do some things, to restart our lift stations and get some of those, get some of them offline, back in line, that kind of thing. So I think that's where Public Works came in, they're working on that.
But wouldn't they have generators that would kick in to,
There was one that did not have, I think it was, I can't remember the number, but it was one of the older stations, it's not a generator. Every one of our, lift stations does not have a generator, I think there's at least two that don't. It was one of those that was not, had to be brought back on the line, which it was, but doesn't have a generator, so.
okay.
Okay, moving on. 11, business arising from prior meeting. A, proposed bylaw B0401 respecting mobile vendors and peddlers. Bylaw B0501 has been developed. Is it 0401 or 05? It's
Go forward.
Go forward.
04, okay.
And this is the one where Tiffany got the,
It has been developed to specify the regulations that pertain to mobile vendors and peddlers who operate in Five Rivers. Proposed motion 011326.04, be it resolved that council approves the second reading by title of proposed bylaw BO 401 respecting mobile vendors and peddlers. So number one, authority; number two, purpose; three, definitions; four, license requirements and payment; five, other rules and operating perimeters; six, fines; seven, repeal of prior bylaw; eight, effective date; and nine, signatures.
So moved.
You have a seconder?
Yeah.
Anybody? There was a question at our last meeting on that, and it was the difference between the words permits and licenses, and Tiffany sent us information through email on that. Yeah. Yeah, so we're good with that?
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion carried. So it's there. Yay. So do I have to do that again?
It's the third reading, I think, yes.
Okay.
You have to do.
Okay. Proposed motion 011326.05, be it resolved that council approves the third and final reading to enact proposed bylaws BO 401 respecting mobile vendors and peddlers. Moved by
So moved.
Karen,
Second.
Elaine. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against, nay. Motion carried. B, proposed bylaw A 0102 respecting the proceedings of council. Bylaw 01, should we say 02 there, has been amended to update information pertaining to the proceedings of council.
This is a full information. It was all one open, and it already do stuff, but that one is correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, A 0101.
That part, but
Proposed motion 011326.06, be it resolved that council approves the second reading by title of proposed bylaw 0102 respecting the proceedings of council. Number one, contents; 2, general information; 2.1, authority; 2.2, purpose; 2.3, application; 2.4, definitions; 2.5, repeal of prior bylaw; 3, proceedings of council; 3.1, acts and decisions of council; 3.2, quorum; 3.3, agendas; 3.4, public notices; 3.5, minutes; 3.6, meeting duration; 3.7, motions; 3.8, voting; 3.10, documentation; 3.11, bylaw enactment and an amendment; 3.12, conflict of interest; 3.13, right of public to attend meetings and present to council; 3.14, recording; 4, meetings.
Does it matter that you're all for them? Is there a different version? Doesn't matter.
Am I not?
But I think there must have been something added. 3.11, bylaw enactment amendment; 3.12, policy enactment amendment; 3.13, conflict of interest. So do you have policy enactment?
You did.
this one.
One that's on this one.
It's not.
I think there was just.
I would,
Yeah,
yeah.
just read
You
it.
can, I literally.
And the bylaw?
I think there was just.
Yeah.
Different version. There's just one different.
Okay. Policy enactment, okay.
Good catch.
You could like just read through them.
It's moving on this one.
Yeah.
This is not.
Yeah. You were good up until 3.11.
Okay, 3.12, policy enactment and amendment; 3.13, conflict of interest; 3.14, invite the public to attend meetings and present to council; 3.15, recording; 4, meetings. First meeting of newly elected council; 4.1, first meeting of newly elected council; 4.2, election of deputy mayor; 4.3, regular meetings; 4.4, committee of the whole meetings; 4.5, special meetings; 4.6, emergency meetings; 4.7, electronic meetings; 4.8, closed meetings; 5.1, committee types; 5.2, committee mandates; 5.3, committee meetings; 5.4, standing committees; 5.5, ad hoc committees; 6, role of elected officials; 6.1, role of mayor; 6.2, role of deputy mayor; 6.3, role of counselor; 6.4 role of chair, 6.5 role of clerk, 6.6 role of assistant clerk. Effective date, 7 is effective date, 8 is signatures. Proposed motion 011326.07. Be it resolved that council approves the third and final reading to enact proposed bylaw 0102 respecting the proceedings of council.
We're supposed to have a motion for the second.
It might be,
Like in my device, so I must have missed that. This is John.
Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't we have done that the last meeting?
Did we do first and second last meeting?
No, we just did it first.
Okay.
So this is the second.
You would have read it by title. if we did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also put a motion. I don't have a motion on it.
The proposed motion is above it. For the second one, for the second reading, it's under B above, it's right there. And then the second one, 01132607 is the third. So this motion is the second, this one's the third.
Yeah, so the second one needs to be motion.
Yes.
The second.
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't have that.
Okay.
Moved by and seconded by.
Okay, so yes, I see what you mean. So, proposed motion 11011226.06.
So moved.
Aaron, who's that? Seconder?
There's already a.
Elaine? No, Katie, sorry. Okay, questions and comments on that? Elaine?
so under, I don't know, what's your order for ones here, but it's under the definitions and it says consent
You don't have
agenda.
to give us the page.
Okay, well, it's 2.48.
What's the page number?
Well, there are different, I have 3 on this one, but, and then I have, yeah, it's, I think that would be
248. Is it
2.4.8?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, okay. So that, it's in our, not listed in this one I have here, the consent agenda. So I had mentioned that in a meeting, like that, any council member would be allowed to remove an item from the consent agenda, right?
I don't think so.
Yes.
But it wouldn't,
That- We can, at UMNB, we can remove items from the consent agenda. Cause I remember asking that.
no.
I don't think so.
So 2.4.8 wouldn't go here, because once you get into the third digit, it's sub. Like you don't get 2.5 point anything. You are only going headings. So 2.4.8 is the
It's a-
definition
Right,
within,
it's under
under
definitions.
definitions. Yeah.
Under definitions, yeah.
So can you give me an example of what you mean? So like, if
Well-
I came in today and I was like, I don't want to talk about the curling club. I don't like that. You know
Or
what I
if you
mean? Like,
wanted to, and it was in consent agenda, like it's just regular things that we put in there normally. But if there was something that we were, we wanted to discuss, we could remove it.
You'd have to
I would
have,
say the full support of council would have to vote on that
Yeah.
if that were to happen. I don't think one councillor could remove something from a consent agenda.
you can't,
But normally it's not. It's not going to, it's going to be things we've already talked about and they're,
But the consent agenda, we don't have, that's put in, like, we don't have a say in what goes in that, right?
Well, it's developed like any other agenda by the mayor and the clerk.
Right.
You're correct, there's no mechanism in here that does allow you to evict or to take out one of the items in the consent agenda.
Not to get rid of it, to remove it from consent agenda for discussion
Well, the,
in the regular motion
there's,
or whatever.
well,
Yeah,
yeah, there's two different things there, like, both of them arguably, you could say, you're making the point that an item in the consent agenda, you want, there should be no need, I mean, you can have a discussion, but the whole idea of a consent agenda is that they're sort of straightforward, minor things that, don't really require any serious discussion or, I mean, if they did, they shouldn't be in the consent agenda and all this. They should be in the regular agenda. Last, the second point about, there is probably a question, you mentioned it, it's curious that you can read this, 50 times and come up with some wrinkle that you, there probably should be some mechanism by which you may decide to, strike, if you had hypothetically listed 5 items and one of them you thought, you did not want to include the consent agenda, you would probably treat that as say that I would ask that, I request that item 4 be taken out of the consent agenda. And I do think the mayor's point, you would need unanimous vote of council probably at that point to do that. That would be what you would probably go with, but this should be a relatively, I say that in a fairly rare circumstance, but I think I'm just thinking in real time, I think it's acceptable probably to go forward with what we have here, but we may want to, I don't think we'd have to go through 3 readings to make a minor amendment about how we handle that particular case. So whether you think the item in the consent agenda doesn't belong there at all, or whether you think it shouldn't be voted and go forward, or whether you think it warrants discussion that should be put in, that should be part of the regular agenda, any one of those 3 scenarios, I think in real time, there should be some mechanism for council to review that and make a decision to exempt it on the basis of that. Right, so maybe when you do that, you could say as a procedural matter, you say, are there any calls to adjust, but and say if they do this on a fairly routine basis, I don't know what they do in the larger towns that use consent agendas, Moncton and Burgie and so forth, that regularly use these. I suspect it's a very rare occasion that they have that sort of an issue because they're more perfunctory or basic sort of things you're accepting that we would recognize someday as International XYZ Day or things of that sort that are not really so, for the most part, would require debate or deliberation.
Right, but what if there was something that, well, I have no problem, but I don't think it's unanimous. I think it's 2/3. Because at UNB, that there's items come out of the consent agenda all the time. And I don't think it's majority vote. I think it's a vote of 2/3 or whatever. Not 100% on that, but I know there's items that come out of that consent agenda to be discussed or at a later date dealt with.
Be tabled or be,
So,
yeah, that can work.
Right.
And then it's a
Majority rules, yeah, but
or a vote, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the trick there is that you're, unlike in most other motions, which have a pretty high degree of specificity and relate to one discrete item, this is something where hypothetically you'd be describing 2 or more things which may not have anything to do with one another. And if there's an objection that one of those items doesn't belong in the consent agenda, you probably need a mechanism to
Right,
say the decision on it should be postponed or deferred or something of
Well-
that sort. It's not something I contemplated thinking for the most part, the consent agenda would not be, that matter. The other thing you could opt to do, if there's nothing, presumably there wouldn't be too much in the consent agenda, which is time sensitive. In which case you could, decide to just, if there were some, if one of the items, was controversial or unclear in that way, you could decide just to not vote for not approve the consent agenda and defer it till the next meeting. You know, would be another way of going. So, all that said, none of that is captured in here, but I think,
so can we put something in there to do that? It just maybe have.
what I would say is, just as a final note, is that what I would say, I don't think I think it's acceptable, if you will, to accept this as it is, but then at the next bylaw meeting to take that on specifically and figure out the recommendation of the bylaw committee would be to deal with that particular.
we're taking another 3 readings to amend, right?
What's that?
Taking another 3 meetings to amend.
I don't, I'll look this up, but I don't think for something that specific in particular, you need 3 readings because it's not fundamental to the bylaw. All you're doing is really providing a very specific mechanism to seal with one particular exception. So I don't think you need 3 readings for that. I think you can amend it with a single reading. After, I'll confirm that, but, it was something that minor.
Unless in the document, the bylaw expressly says that you can, you'll be fine.
And it says,
Yeah,
Elaine, this is for routine items. This isn't for anything that we haven't discussed. Anything that's in a consent
No,
agenda will be things that are given. So-
Here, I
oh,
just want to
okay.
say that, I read it somewhere that it said, we don't necessarily get all requests for presentation, so that could be.
The other mechanism you could use is just that you could put that in the committee of the whole meeting. A preview of it. So it's rubber stamped in time to get the regular.
Because that's what we're gonna do.
What's that?
No,
Of the
consent
consent
agenda,
items, yeah.
move it at the committee of the whole meeting, and then it goes into the next.
Yeah, you get a recommendation, a motion to recommend at the committee of the whole, and then that can carry forward to the regular, in which case, if there was any concern of that nature, you could resolve it in the committee of the whole. You know, and then you could, for the regular meeting, it should
Okay, so-
go straight through.
Okay, so then I'm just saying, what's the point in this first, second, third readings if we don't, isn't it to change something if we
So
want?
Elaine, you're on the committee.
Yes.
And we've
And I
had
mentioned
a
that,
lot.
I
of
mentioned
meetings.
that,
No,
yes, I did, because
Karen
Rob,
says, no.
Rob, you
I do
said,
not recall.
I do, because I
So,
asked.
but wait a
I-
minute now, wait a minute.
Yes,
So you've had ample time to
Yes.
discuss this, so
I'm just saying, I
Yeah,
did
but like if
mention
something
that.
just came to mind though, like that's not really fair.
I mentioned it at a
You
meeting,
think it's-
and I said, are we allowed to take items out of the consent agenda? And I'm sure, Rob, you said yes.
Yeah.
So,
It would, I think it would, look, you would hope that it would be a very rare circumstance when we had to do that.
right,
Is the whole point of, is stricter, non-controversial and fairly straightforward matters. Because if they were not that, then you would put it in the regular agenda. You wouldn't put it in the consent agenda. Consent agenda items should be,
Right.
the basketball metaphor, they should be layups.
Stuff
They
like
should
that,
be
yeah.
things that are not,
but
And
that's
if-
not what this says.
what's that?
That's not what this says, like it says, presentations, not all presentations. We're not aware of all
Requests.
presentations or something, requests, yes. So there's
things
things,
to appear, it says.
yeah. So I just assumed any request to appear, they were able to make presentations. But then we don't get to decide that then, as council. So that's just one thing that,
But does anybody who asks to appear automatically get the right to appear?
No.
So regardless of what they want to discuss?
You mean
But is
request
that not
request
a-
for presentation?
but is that not a council
Say
decision?
that again?
Is that not a council decision that where it affects the community? Is that not council to make?
It might not affect the community.
There is always some discretion exercised by the mayor and the clerk in setting the agenda on, you can only imagine, in a very large, city. I know I tend to go to this reference, but if you go to Fredericton, Moncton, not to even say Montreal, Halifax, you might get dozens or, more requests to appear, and they all make decisions on what they end up deciding is relevant. And for that matter, that's the fundamental base of all agendas. At some point, clerk and the mayor decide on the basis of knowing what is before council or what's about to be before council about what to include the agendas. That's not something where there should be no assumption that every request to appear or every presentation and so forth will be necessarily brought before council if there is no compelling or obvious public interest at stake, right? So there's always discretion exercised in that. Now, that said, the other mechanism is someone, if a member of the public does make it clear, the normal mechanism, like if they make a request to present, that council member can certainly talk to the mayor and talk, and the clerk let that and find out whether, make an appeal for that presentation to take place.
Right, but in the end, wouldn't it be council? The council all wanted to hear it. The same. What do we hear?
You can move to amend the certain item in the document in this section, and then council puts it to a vote whether or not they want to adopt it.
So on that, not to belabor the point, but is it mainly the request presented in that list of
No,
things that?
no, it's any item that might appear in there that a council or two council members of council might want to hear about and discuss it further. I'm not saying it's a big issue. It's just like, it's like, how do we know if we don't, if it's already in the consent, we can't take it out to discuss it?
3.1.
Yeah, I would say again, that I do think it's a fair point that there should be some mechanism to expel some item in there from the consent agenda if it's of concern. If council, whether that's majority or unanimous, is concerned, which we'll investigate. it's not as if consent agendas don't exist and these mechanisms don't exist in other municipalities, so we can look at that. I would still say that, I think for the purpose of sort of, using this bylaw, if you will, at our next meeting, I think it's acceptable to pass it as it is, but to, add some, mechanism to deal with those scenarios. Yeah, and we'll confirm, but there is an allowance, if you're not making a material or fundamental change to the bylaw, like this bylaw from last one is very much a material or fundamental change, it's a fairly significant, alteration of what was there before. Here, we're talking about out of a,
Voting to accept with XYZ changes, like we do that all the time.
yeah, I mean,
As long as they-
probably in some way, like all bylaws, I'm saying,
Yeah,
living,
so we could vote.
living documents, so.
With the amendment.
Out of an 18-page bylaw with a tremendous number of individual items, then it's really the further clarification on one particular item that you would be seeking. And on that basis, I think you could do an amendment to the bylaw and everyone through three. Worst case scenario, if you went through 3 readings, is 2 meetings. So if you did it in March and February, March, you'd be still done. So it's best case, it's 1 meeting, worst, it's 2, to make that alteration.
Okay, Karen, you had something to say about this?
So regarding the presentations, Elaine's correct. But in 3.14.7, council shall have the right to refuse any presentation. That's the only place that council has a say. 3.14.3, upon receipt of a written request to address council, the clerk shall confer with the mayor and confirm with the requester if their request has been accepted. If accepted, the clerk shall confirm the date, time, and place at which the presentation shall be made. So council decides if it's going to be refused. But the clerk and conferring with the mayor,
Let them know.
well, that's been there, just to say, that's.
In terms of presentation specifically.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So not knowing, for the consent agenda, definitions again,
Or even,
Yeah.
we would need more information for that.
We have a meeting next week.
Unless council wants to go forward with keeping it as it is, or.
Doing an amendment.
see, the other, just to make a small point here, if you pass this bylaw, you are getting, if you will, the good, alterations or updates of this bylaw. If you do not, you still are running with the existing one. And the whole point of this being changed is that it's correcting or filling in holes that existed in the, so I think whether it's 1 reading or 2, you're still better off accepting these bylaw as is. And this bylaw, probably as much as any, is always a living document. It's always in a state of being fine tuned and updated to reflect, minor changes, in most cases not major, as you do with your proceedings. I mean, as you do recordings, as you do posts, et cetera, et cetera. So, anyway, not to restate I think it's okay to accept as is and just go back and continue to address that issue. There will never not be a time when there isn't some minor, or, some detail to be further clarified.
Throughout the document, it'll be a constant flux.
And that, so anyways, the tap of that could be ratified by the vote of council. If council's not comfortable with that now, they can not vote. But if they are, they can go forward and then with an intent to address that matter.
So not to make an amendment now,
To accept it as is and make an amendment at the next meeting.
at the next meeting.
Because by not doing that, what I said, if you don't do that, you're affecting the current one, which is
There's a lot of good stuff I can use in the meantime while the amendment gets made. Yeah. That makes sense to me.
And it just takes 1 reading for amendment.
So
Especially,
we'll find that out. I mean, we will,
especially because it's basically add.
We're not adding a whole section. We're just redefining a definition. Correct?
Yeah.
And maybe there is already a rule in place, a process in place in Robert's rules as to
And ELT.
what to do
That's a good
with the
point.
consent agenda. We just don't know what, we need more.
Yeah, because there is a statement in here that Robert's rules, the reason you raise that, like,
Okay.
is that we do say where there isn't something provided in this proceedings, and it refers to Robert's rules. So if there is something on consent agenda, then we can just simply refer to Robert's rules and may not need an amendment at all. And just be understanding that that's, that we'll adopt or accept the mechanism that Robert's rules provides. Which I have a copy of on my desk and I'll look at after the meeting.
I don't just want to assume that it'll be allowed. So if it's in there, because I know other municipalities have consent agendas. So I just, yeah, if you want to get more information on it.
I can get,
A new bylaw usually requires the three motion, but an amendment. Make more
Right.
sense to amend to bylaw. So you don't have to roll through the three readings.
Right.
I can, I 100% agree, check with Robert's rules. And I could also check tomorrow with Dan at the board meeting with UNMD. And I can ask them specifically how they do it and how it's, I can even check the document, how it's defined.
Well, I think that's, I mean, this is not, it's in front for anyone to look at those things and it gets administrative role to do that for you. But certainly, Moncton, who uses consent agendas, and I think their bylaw must speak to that matter, I would assume. And, we'll, you know, you combine the standards that you always look at 2 or 3 good reference bylaws and for municipalities to use them, and then that mechanism will exist there.
I just want to go.
Okay.
Wanted to look at it. And just send an email tomorrow morning to Rob, reminding him you want it on the next meeting's agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
He'll remember because we talked
Oh,
about
yes.
it.
Okay.
So what's happening? Are we voting?
So he does is we have, Karen, moved it, Katie second. So this is for the second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those against nay. Carried. Proposed motion 011326.07. Be it resolved, the council approves the third and final reading to enact proposed bylaw A 0102 respecting the proceedings of council.
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those against nay. Moving on to C, organizational chart and roles. Proposed motion 011326.08. Be it resolved, the council of Five Rivers approves the policy HR 0102, organization chart and roles.
So moved.
A seconder? Yeah. 80. So we received one of these last, February, March. And this is, volume 2. So CAO has done, the reviews of, the employees. And,
It's in the center details.
Yeah, it's the organizational chart, not the manual, right? Or the chart, the organizational. Yes, okay.
you should have gotten it in your
I
packet.
know, I read through it, but I just, because it says annual and then it says chart. So
She's, oh, HR menu.
well,
Organizational chart.
not the, okay.
What's the,
Sorry, Chair.
No,
HO 102.
Questions or comments on the document? So the CAO has made some amendments, to the rules and descriptions. Karen,
Regarding the community engagement position, I assume is gonna be replaced. When is that open?
Uh, well, what I've explained, there are a couple candidates that, one of which is part-time role and, that I would like to speak to, and, to some extent, roles and responsibilities may be adapted to particular candidates you get. So, I'm gonna have those discussions, let's assume for the moment to punch that out a little. Let's assume that we have a 2 or 3 day person a week, a senior person, somebody who's retired and, wants to specialize, and maybe they specialize and let's just say they end up taking the community, development roles opposed to communications, just for example. Then that may mean that this would be, so I think it's, Mayor's point when we discussed this before, because this has been updated in so long, we've used it it's useful to update it now.
Yes.
All I'm saying is notifying, depending on how we hire those, and who applies and so forth, we may reconfigure some of the roles based on the candidates. I think that at the end of the day, in a small community, every person wears many hats.
Yes.
And if we get a great candidate who very much wants to work in 2 areas.
Yeah.
And we can accommodate that by changing roles, and that's what we'd be inclined to do if it's non-disruptive to the organization and it provides a greater benefit.
So I guess my question was, have we and did we budget for an APAR clerk,
Yes,
community development specialist, and a third public works?
Yes.
person?
that was all budgeted in the 2025 budget.
Really don't.
Okay, so, the CAO responsibilities are here, right?
Yes.
And then it goes like to the treasurer's and treasurer, responsibilities and qualifications. So under the CAO, are the qualifications in another document?
No, don't have those in yet, actually. It is just simply, it's not, I mean, it wasn't admitted intentionally or.
No, just like.
No, they're not right now. So there's a couple things about that document. What I did was I took, like the role of the clerk and treasurer are appointed in the Local Governance Act. So I pretty much cut and paste verbatim what they are and then reference them in those roles. But no, I didn't have the qualification for the CAO in there. They could be added, in part, yes, that's an interesting one because CEO is the only employee of council. The council would really want to look at that. I think I would just, if it's council's desire, it's a fair enough point to have them included. I just don't have them in there. It's probably something we have to work on in a future edition. I can almost promise this is going to have to be updated in the next 2-3 months as we hire folks.
Yep.
There'll be some slight adjustments, so that could be part of what we do in the next update.
And, just, you had it there for reference for hiring too, but, okay, the other thing. So, right now, do we have someone like assistant treasurer, right? Assistant.
We do have assistant
You're-
treasurer, right? It's in the-
Yes, right, okay. So the APAR clerk,
You don't have.
We do not have that. person.
okay, right.
So in the past, you probably, be aware that Diane and Natalie sort of tag team payroll, APAR,
Yeah.
that function. So, and that's being one of the critical functions that any organization has. It is very important for sickness, vacation and so forth to have backup. Right now, we're actually flying without that. We're dependent, I would have to be called into the mix probably or to help if for whatever reason our clinical assistant treasurer was unable. So that's sort of a critical role. We're really looking with the retirement of Diane, we're just looking to reinstate that position.
Right.
So in last year now, in the organizational chart and roles from last year, we had a planning and development specialist. And we were slated to hire that person, but we did not hire that person. So a different from the accounts payable and accounts receivable, because this position was supposed to do financial management, operating budgets, capital planning, asset management, procurement, contract, all of that. That's being filled. I'm just curious as to who's gonna do that job now.
Yeah, no, very good question. So all the senior, I'll say the senior accounting and financial responsibilities are now with our assistant treasurer with oversight and some input from me. What we're missing, is, and procurement often, for what it's worth, is a shared function. So the big procurement usually runs through the treasurer, CEO, et cetera. Although if we think of public works and the tractor, like Josh would have been heavily involved in doing it, working alongside. So it's always sort of a team effort, and depending on what it is we're purchasing for procurement, we get, the relevant individuals involved. But, what we don't have right now is sort of a, engineer's not, it's a director, but the basic role for APAR and payroll. So let's imagine, I don't want to imagine too vividly, but if our assistant treasurer was out for a month and we needed to do a basic process, that we'd have someone in place whose responsibility was to do that. So you're correct in that, I think some of the original scope was we'd have this sort of financial, senior financial person. I think at the end of the day, as the year played out and as we came to sort of settle into roles, that I think it makes it, what I'm recommending is what makes most sense, that our assistant treasurer sort of holds those responsibilities, with support, input, and participation even from the CEO. But what we're missing is the supporting person to help them do the basic data entry. It also, to state sort of the semi-obvious, if you have that person doing data entry, that takes some of the responsibility off of that assistant treasurer, some of the day-to-day processing of bills and so forth, and that allows them to focus more attention on some of the higher value. So when we talk about a comparative statement and a year-end sort of analysis, as a time-consuming thing, it's a very important thing. But that would be enabled much more strongly if you had that. If right now we had a person in that role doing that role, so the person didn't have to work, 7 hours a day just doing, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and payroll stuff. So that's the idea. And I would, final note, if it isn't already, I had not restating. This product is sort of what I said earlier. It's always a function of as you get people, as people come and go, they advance, they get promoted, you see them, first year, you're thinking on how to configure the group evolves. And I'd say this represents sort of the current thinking of giving the people we have the best way to utilize them to deploy them.
Oh, two more questions. So why is the community development person a specialist and the recreation and events is a coordinator? Do they not just equally or?
No, it's well, so it's a good question here. I'd say we have such a small, relatively speaking, small organization that what you really want is for every essential function, you want backup. You want, like, if somebody's out, the other person can do that, or they can share responsibility. So to your point, there's certainly a lot of overlap between recreation and culture. But if we think for a moment of a simple analysis, when it came to something like Roots and Rivers or the rec programs or things like you mentioned earlier about the youth fitness and things, that a third party is sort of running that. That's all the recreation coordinator stuff. If we think about some of the work that the community person did, whether it's about homelessness or housing, or it's, I'm gonna forget what we say with Katie to work on, but that sort of sphere of stuff ends up being community development. So whether it's special project with indigenous communities or so forth and so on. So that's kind of the recreation and summer camp. It's local festivals. It's actual fitness and that sort of things. It's curling club stuff. It's so forth and so on. Community development is really about those other areas. So there is this thing. There are times when the overlap isn't quite so clear and you can get a decision where is it A or B, and then there's a lot of the times there's collaboration between those two individuals on something like Roots and Rivers, not just one person. It was a collaboration between the two persons. So,
Or like difference between specialists here.
Well, the specialist, yeah, the title. Why is that?
Yeah.
That's
That's just-
maybe because it's more in depth in some.
And that's often just how those titles
Yeah.
work. When I've been like, it's, yeah, when it's community, it's coordinator.
Degree.
When it's, yeah, when it's comms and specialist, that's kind of just how the title works. The job.
yeah, that's kind of like I wouldn't die in the hell of renaming this or that. I mean, you can, there are alternatives, but like in coordinating, you end up, a lot of times we don't deliver many recreation programs directly, summer camp being one of the few exceptions. Most of the others are done, like Ken Curling does curling, Youth
Yeah.
Fitness is done by, so you're coordinating with
Like
third
that
parties
might
to
be-
deliver recreation services. Whereas with community development, you often are the representative of the town involved in doing something, whether it's on a committee or serving, get some sort of direct engagement. So I think that's the slight explanation for how you end up with specialist versus coordinator, but
Okay, so my other one is, so not only the summer camp worker, I guess, but, and maybe this happens when everybody's hired. But I just noticed this in there because they're working with children. Is there a police check?
oh, yes. No, yeah. I know
Even as a,
there's a set of things in hiring summer camp, there's first aid, there's a whole, I'm not gonna be able to recite it perfectly, but there's a checklist of things you have to do when you're working with kids. That, so the summers, hires have to be trained, recreation coordinators have to be
okay,
trained.
just
There's, yeah.
doesn't list it, that's all.
I think there's,
There's-
I thought there was an allusion in there
Training
to
and-
something, I could be,
Something.
I thought there was.
There was first aid, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's also, I
CPR.
mean, in the background of this, there are some standard operating procedures. It's not to suggest that there are more that need to be developed, but just that, there's training guides and other things in the back of this that,
Okay.
yeah, that
Pending.
support the programs.
Because I didn't realize, we don't have an AED here, do we?
We said,
We
what's that?
don't have an AED in this building, do we?
No,
Don't believe so. Probably, yeah.
only if somebody's trained in it.
There's one at the recreation center.
It's a fire, that's wrong. The fire department, where they have them in the mall.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, but technically, you're not supposed to use it unless you're trained on it.
Yeah, in order to place it, you'd have to have some training. The question
Rather
is,
than someone-
you need somebody.
It tells you what house that is on your state.
Yeah, but like, they have them in public, yeah. I think it would be a good place to have one. So I talked with the CAO a little bit before the meeting, and my only concern with the roles was with regards to like lawyers and land deals and purchases and like all the legal things. Because I see there's some shared, responsibility there that the person would not have the experience that the CAO does in doing those functions. So that's my concern, to make sure that.
Stays, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think if you look at the state role, the contract agreements are still there, CEO. And I mean, if, for example, you had somebody with some general knowledge or, good potential to work in that area, there'd have to be knowledge transfer and training, that sort of thing, to get that person up to speed so they can run. It entirely dependent on who you hire, their experience.
Right.
Yeah.
and
So if we don't find somebody who's really suited for that, then they'll probably stay for the time being with me. But even like Emily was very much in the learning and training.
Yeah. but even
Specific.
for like the EMO, like it's the
Yeah.
CAO who runs the center, what is it called? Control center.
Yeah,
There's-
situation rooms. et cetera.
Yeah, so, yeah, like,
Commanding.
yeah, exactly. So like a support would do that role.
Yeah, there though, part of an EMO plan, not to get into too much in the weeds, but like, a lot of it, for example, is just filling in your contact information for all the different things. So that doesn't have to be CEO doing that. Someone else can do that portion of it. So when you're looking at somebody helping.
As far as training.
No, no. Yes, that's a senior, but I mean, just to help you do some of the basic work, if you will, associated with that, yeah.
Okay. Okay, are we good? Do we have a motion for that?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of policy HR 102 signify by saying aye. Against nay. Carried. The Kent Curling Club Annual Report 2024. We received that in our packet.
We had it before.
Yes. But it was tailored. We had it before.
I think this could be like a plan, and you could like get one, so you get one for it, and then that should be yours, get one of them.
So
Yeah.
Cody and Marley met with Cody met with Marley, and they amended the report.
It is.
So it's a little bit different than the one in the package.
Mhm.
So the one that Marley will present, or
Okay,
yourself will
yeah.
present is different. And I did send it to you and Tiffany, the amended
Okay.
report. just to let you know, it's,
No.
yeah, there's a few changes to it.
Missed.
So
This is not it, then, the one we got tonight?
No,
you didn't get one tonight.
Yes, they did. What's on your desk?
This is annual
Oh.
report. Yeah.
It's here.
is it the amended one?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Can you see?
I think the amended one just has the H and R block taken out of it.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
this is
okay.
not the correct one.
One thing that we should do is a note, which we'll do going forward, is that, I do try to put version numbers on the documents. That's helpful in this case, because if you make a change, it goes from 101 to 102.
Yeah.
So then you don't have that trouble of knowing, and,
Yeah.
so we'll make an effort to do better with that going forward, because that is causing confusion and.
So basically, it's the last part that's not included, the H and R bond.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was not necessary to include that.
Yeah,
I had that, I had that.
It will be presented, it hasn't been presented yet to the commission, so it will be, this month.
and then brought back to us,
I had the old one.
What's that?
and then brought back to us. Or do we vote on this without that part?
Yeah, well, it's just, yeah. Proposed motion 011326.09. Be it resolved that Council of Five Rivers ratifies the 2024 Kent Curling Annual Report as presented.
So we'll-
Karen?
With the amendment.
Mike? Well, I'll send you, I'll send everybody the.
We'll
Yeah.
we'll get that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against nay. Carried. Business, election of deputy mayor, motion 011326.10. Be it resolved that the floor be open for nominations for the position of deputy mayor. Would someone like to move that?
So moved.
And a seconder, Elaine? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against nay, motion carried. Are there any nominations for the position of deputy mayor?
I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations for the deputy mayor?
You're gonna run again?
This is just now in the election.
Any
I know.
other, any other nominations for the deputy mayor? Okay, be it motion 011326.11, be it resolved that to close the nominations for the position of deputy mayor. Who moves that?
I'll move it.
Katie and Billy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against nay, motion carried. Motion 011326.12, be it resolved that council in accordance with bylaw 080101 elects Councillor Campbell as deputy mayor for a term that starts effective immediately and ends May 2026. Is it 0101 or 0102? It's A.
A good question. Yeah, we passed it today earlier, so we'll be able to.
02, okay. B is, the year in review. That was in your packets this evening. I'm gonna go over this. Yes, it's very well done. Overview, 2025 was a year of significant activity, growth, and development for the municipality of Five Rivers. Following the directives of council and guided by its strategic plan, the municipality completed many key tasks and milestone projects for the residents of Five Rivers. This table below provide a list of those tasks and accomplishments. In administration and finance, we held 21 meetings of council, 12 regular, 7 special, and 2 committee of the whole meetings. We also, I've added, had a strategic plan review in April. We recorded and posted videos of council meetings on the web, awarded more than $26,000 in municipal grants to 13 local organizations, formed a rural plan committee and started work on a new rural plan for Five Rivers, implemented Microsoft SharePoint for document management, published a 2024 annual report, secured a $350,000 debenture to fund the Rexton fire truck purchase, completed the 2024 financial audit, secured community investment funds grants from local MLAs Finnegan and Burke, completed a 5-year Canada Community Building Fund Plan 2024 to 2028, managed the 2025 general operating budget to a $300,000 surplus, managed the 2025 utility operating budget to a $25,000 surplus, developed a strategic plan matrix, conducted governance training for council with Brenda Knight and Mark Bigley, formed a new age-friendly committee, completed review of HR policies with Pivot Consulting, hired a new full-time position, recreation coordinator, attended AMANB, UMNB, and CAMA conferences and the FCM, signed the electric truck agreement with the Kent Regional Service Commission. Under Public Works and Safety, purchased the new $850,000 fire truck for Rexton Fire Department, completed 3.1 million sewer system upgrade project with Envo, constructed new outdoor rink for Clairville Beer School Recreation Council, replaced stairs and wheelchair ramp for Bass River Hall, replaced the inlet at the lagoon, participated in EMO meetings and planning, repaired the sidewalk on Route 116, replaced water well, and repaired the roof at the Lions Club, repaired foundation and changing room floor at the Rexton Sports and Recreation Center, completed repairs at the museum, built new riverside fence, added water pump, and refurbished the chicken coop at Bonner Common. In communications and community development, we launched a new municipal website, produced and distributed quarterly newsletters, created templates for official Five Rivers documents, developed new Five Rivers road and highway signs, completed sales of 2 municipal properties, published 2 RFPs to sell industrial park properties, attended Truth and Reconciliation Day in Grand Baptouche, attended training for Indigenous communications, planted apple trees on
Reconciliation.
Truth and Reconciliation Day, attended Healthy Coast Conference and participated in the Healthy Coast Committee. Recreation and Culture created a new 4-day municipal festival, Roots and Rivers, with unique logo and merchandise, secured provincial funding to repair the Bonner Law Historical Site, Canada Day celebration supported by Celebrate Canada 2026, hosted 7 weddings and 11 special events at Bonner Law Common, hosted summer day camp at Bonner Law Common, hosted Kent Curling at the Rexton Sports and Recreation Center, hosted open houses to discuss plans for the Rexton Sports and Recreation Center, completed various upgrades to the municipal ball field, new program, Youth Fitness at the Rexton Sports and Recreation Center, new program, yoga at the farm. I think that was in place years before too, yeah. New event, Harvesting Hope, a day for mental wellness. New event, Easter egg hunt and amazing adventures. New event, Haunted Halloween Trail and Trunk or Treat in partnership with BLMS. Special event, Christmas tree lighting and ceremony and market. Special event, Frosty Fest. Special event, house decorating contest and scarecrow decorating contest. Special event, Multicultural Day at Bonner Law Common in partnership with the KRSC. Special event, visit Rishabukta River Museum with NB Museum. Special event, Community Yard Sale in partnership with Beaurivage. Familiarization tour with Destination Southeast at Bonner Law Common, participated on Regional Cultural Development Committee, participated on Physical Literacy Committee, and bylaws and policies. Updated the proceedings of council bylaw, updated the wastewater system bylaw, created a policing bylaw, updated the fire protection and prevention bylaw, updated mobile vendors and traders bylaw, updated the dangerous and unsightly premises bylaw, created a new civic awards policy, created a municipal fees and charges policy, created an administrative standards policy, and created a disposition of municipal policies.
One correction.
Sure.
The $300,000 surplus for 2025 is actually $350. We put 300 into capital reserve, and we put 15 to operating.
Right. Good catch. Good job, everyone. So we have a motion, or we need a motion. We'd like to put this, on Facebook and on the website. So we'll need a motion from council to do that.
I'll move.
Okay, Billy, and a seconder. Karen, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those against, nay. Motion carried. The last one is 12C, the Rexton bylaw control of dogs. And the bylaw is in your package.
So is this gonna apply everywhere in Five Rivers?
This is an old Rexton
Yeah.
bylaw that's in place for Rexton. And,
Very outdated.
so, I'll let Rob explain.
Yeah, and maybe Tiffany to chime in, but we did add this to the agenda because there's a time sensitivity to decisions. So right now, we have an animal control bylaw, or dogs, sorry, control of dogs bylaw from 2015. It was obviously pre-amalgamation, so it's exclusively applies to Rexton, the village, the former village, you know. And it had a hard maximum of 3 dogs per dwelling. That you'll think, I think you see on the second page, about halfway down on the left. And we had an inquiry from someone who's looking to purchase a home in Rexton, who has 4 dogs. And effectively wants to know if the bylaw, if they could get what amounts to call them variances, and that if we would allow variance to that bylaw to allow the 4 dogs and then to relocate. Tiffany did some research, and this came into us today. So Tiffany, perhaps you could elaborate on some of the things you found out about what is done in other municipalities.
I called the NBSPCA to ask how they handle situations where people have more. And they can't do anything. If somebody had more than 3 dogs, they would not go and take the dog from them. There would be no warnings given to them or anything.
No fine.
No fine, yeah. The only way that they would ever remove a dog was if it was being neglected, if it needed medical care.
Or is it attack someone?
What?
If it were to attack someone?
If it was
Or to attack somebody, yeah.
Yeah, Mike?
Yeah.
And I think you found that there's one other municipality which had a cap of 2. Fredericton had a smaller guy, they had 2, I think.
Yeah.
They don't maximum
Fredericton
of
also
2
has their own animal control
officer.
officer that works for the city. They did not get back to me today when I
But
called them.
many of the municipalities do not specify a maximum number of dogs that are allowed. And I would say for this particular case, one could, or council or other could allow the 4 dogs in this instance, and then take the general or larger issue on this year. Probably post-election, but you know, at least start the process maybe before. If there's a number at all, and if so, what number it would be, and what other information. So very early on, but really there's a broad variety of bylaw. Most do not specify, most municipalities do not put a limit on number, and
The province has no limit.
there's no provincial limit, there's no municipal in most cases.
Could we look at it like we're doing the rural plan for chickens? You have to have so many square meters of outside movable area for a dog. Like if you live in Rexton and your backyard is this big, you can't have 5 big dogs. But if you live at Katie's and the field goes a mile back, I don't care if you, and
You have to be able to enforce those.
yeah,
And
But I'm not sure if that can go in the rural plan, because it's not like.
no, but I'm saying, can we use that example in a new bylaw?
I think in the animal, you could look at that.
How much square footage do you have? Is your yard fenced? Or is your dog gonna be
And
restrained?
listen, dogs have to be restrained.
It's supposed to be,
Yeah, there's
leash,
general
on a
rules
leash.
there.
Yeah.
When I was bitten, it wasn't restrained, but
But that's an idea to put into
Yeah.
a bylaw, like
Yes.
we said, you have to have so much inside area, so much outside area for chicken, so therefore you would have to for a goat.
I think
did
that's
we
really
end
good.
up,
You have to make it something that you can enforce, though. You don't wanna write something up that you can't enforce.
No.
So
We have
when
a
you were
bylaw,
saying,
sir.
yeah, so
Obeying the bylaw.
your
But-
bylaw officer's not gonna go take someone's dog.
Well,
They can issue a fine.
You can find.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I was gonna say, so when you asked these SPCA, you meant like, you asked them if we have a bylaw that says 3 dogs, they have 4.
Yep.
Will you do anything with it? Like,
No.
no, okay.
But our bylaw
We can,
officer
with- as
can
per our-
right.
yeah.
We can, if somebody reports them to the office can call the bylaw enforcement and they would go out and issue the fine.
Yeah, investigate and
Yeah.
notify if.
And that's it. And
But I'd like to say that if people are looking after the dogs and they have ample room, we're pretty good in Rexton here. Nobody's gonna say something, but, certain people have certain dogs and are not looking after them, and if someone's going down the street and this dog's on a chain looking like it's gonna shake, and I know exactly where I'm speaking, I've had numerous residents say, I'm scared to walk by that street because of those dogs. Because they're
Well,
not looked
they-
after, they look like they're ready to eat you alive and they got on a chain.
Scotia.
But yeah, look what just happened in Nova Scotia, you
And
know?
he knew those dogs. But there's
He did?
probably some,
He was
other thing,
It's just biking down the street, yeah.
that's the same Roddy and Sunny, but they're all on, I think there's behind the scenes stuff
Okay,
there.
pulling back to this one.
Yeah.
Do we
Tricky
allow a
situation.
variance for this?
Well, I don't see how we can stop it because almost,
Well, there's a bylaw.
There's a
Bylaw
bylaw.
says 3
It's
dogs.
still in force.
So if you can issue a variance or they get fined. But if you'll issue a variance,
I don't know if there's even provision, to be clear, for the fine in here, if you violate that particular, I know I'm pretty sure.
well, if there isn't, then
Any
whatever.
violation.
I think it would be fair to put a stipulation that, there are still limitations and repercussions, so you can have, yes, you can have your 4 dogs, but if it becomes an issue, if they are, you know, if someone makes a report, or whatever, everything else, still, you're not getting cut off. We're allowing you to have the 4, but you still have to respect, your dogs still have to be,
restrained,
you know, in your control and every way.
yeah.
I think, yeah, we won't, they won't get pinged for having 4 dogs. They could still, you know.
Yeah, there's nothing in here to fine them for owning that many.
Well, and like we just said, this is something we're gonna have
But
to.
if one of them gets loose, it does things. If they attack somebody, it's $50.
That's a whole nother thing, that's the RCMP and BSP. Yeah,
Yes,
I think,
Would we stipulate that should 1 pass, then the limit is 3?
yeah, the fourth can't be replaced, well.
Yeah.
But the thing is, under this current, what we're looking for is clarification, because this is currently in place.
In
Do we allow a variance or not? I agree.
and if
We
you
allow
do
the
for one
variance.
person, you're setting precedent.
how many people have more than, just didn't ask? You know what I mean? You know,
You say the decency of asking. don't you?
Yeah,
exactly.
True.
I'll let that $50 and no more than 200.
but it doesn't, it's pretty discriminatory because it doesn't say a limit on cats. That's discriminatory.
There's no cat bylaw. The dog. bylaw.
Well, on cat,
I know.
I've never seen a cat attack, scary.
Could be something that we look at as just turning into a pet. By law, making us, but yeah, I say we accept the variance.
Yeah, I agree with Katie.
Yeah.
Moved.
Okay, so those, would somebody like to move that we accept the
I second it.
and Karen?
And exactly as our conscience said, AKA Mike. Did he say had
Yeah.
the presence of mind to ask?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Um,
Those against nay. Motion carried. Okay, Next is closed session, motion 121326.13. To exit open session and go into closed session.
So moved. Second.
I just have to.
Is there any reason, I know we're
Oh,
off.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Yeah,
Against nay.
is this gonna be covered in closed sessions?